Good morning. We are going to go live for a little bit just so that we can start to get our viewers on board for our soon-to-be series, Jess the Chat, featuring Victoria Jen Rodriguez from the TFC squad. So that will be coming on shortly. I am going to just let this Insta Live kind of circulate and make its way through the group. Hey Lexi, how are ya? If you have any questions during this Insta Live, please feel free to put them in the chat box down below. Also, if you aren't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jessica Moves You, or our Instagram, Jessica Moves You, or our Facebook page, Jessica Moves You. Can you see that brand continuity? It is there. Hey Rennis, how are you? All right, so we will be doing this weekly feature. Next week we have Real Estate with Amanda, who will be coming on as our guest. After that we have Lexi Church. Lexi Church will be joining us down from Virginia. We have a full schedule over the next 2 months of individuals coming on to our Jess the Chat series. So as we are coming on, gonna let this thing start loading. Please write in the comment section how is the weather conditions where you are. You get some really strange chats and some requests on Instagram and Facebook. Recently, what I can share with you guys is I had somebody ask me if they can do business with me, but first I needed to give them my driver's license as well as my social security number. And I said, that's all you need? And then I managed to Google a really awesome picture, driver's license photo from Thor, Lord of Thunder from Marvel Comics. And I sent it to him. And he said, that's Thor. And I said, I know. He's my business manager. Anyway, we have a few more minutes before we get started. I think I might be a little bit excited just because this is going to be just a phenomenal Q&A with somebody that I really respect, and I'm waiting for her to come on. It's going to be 80 degrees in Daytona. Well, that's great for you, Lexi. We're all freezing our ass off in New York, but I'm glad that you are having a nice 80-degree weather day. Thanks. Hi, AZ Projects NYC. How are ya? So again, we are going to be joined by Victoria Jen very shortly. So if you aren't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jessica Moves You. And if you have any questions that you want to ask me or Victoria, anything regarding real estate, or anything regarding mental health when you go and approach a group of goals and how your goals kind of turn around, if they work, if they don't work, Victoria is going to be phenomenal at doing that. Hi everybody. All right, we got a ton of people on the Insta Live right now. New York Romantic, who is my favorite heart artist in New York. Around town with Melissa. Okay, we've got a bunch of people. Financed by James is joining. So again, we have Victoria Jen from the TFC squad. She is the CEO, founder, and just overall motivational speaker that will be joining us shortly in the next 4 minutes. Yay. Anyone have any real estate questions in the interim while we wait for Vicky to join the Insta Live? Put them down below. Hey Shank, how are ya? So again, we are T-minus 4 minutes. I know I'm a little overzealous here, but really excited for this Insta Live. Where's everyone joining us from? Hey Christina. You have paintings for rent. How about paintings for purchase? Hello. All right, Insta Live is very popping right now, which I'm liking. 3 minutes. Philly in the house. Levittown. Okay, Long Island. Long Island strong. Vicky's going to be joining us from Jersey, Westchester. Okay, I like it. I like it. She's joining us from Jersey. Like I said, next week we have Real Estate with Amanda. The week after that, we have Lexi Church from Virginia. The week after that, we have Emily, the AE of the Austin Board of Realtors, joining us all the way from Texas. So this is going to be a really fun weekly series. We're really excited for it. Hey, Murphy. New Smyrna Beach, Florida. I love it. Murphy, where are you from? All right, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. We're coming on soon. I'm so excited. I feel like you know what's gonna happen. This is gonna be like my big Insta Live debut and my phone's gonna die. That's what I think is gonna happen. But I've got the whole setup here, so hopefully we should be good. Anyone, Hoboken, New Jersey. Oh, we're gonna have 2 Jersey people in the house. Victoria Jen Rodriguez is joining us in 2 minutes. And she is also from Jersey. She is a industry diversity and inclusivity speaker, disruptor of antiquated thoughts. She's just an all-around awesome, positive individual. So she will be on in T-minus 2 minutes. If you have any questions for her or any questions for me regarding anything real estate related, feel free to put it in the chat. Oh, wow. Hi, Wahid from India. Nice to see you. We have people near and far all over the place. That's cool. Let me move this and get myself sorted so I can get my questions up and ready. Anybody have any real estate questions? Or what does everyone do? We can network while we're waiting for Victoria to hop on. Give yourself a shout out, what your handle is for Instagram. Obviously we can see that, but what does everyone do here? Obviously we have some lenders. Let's see, we have a bunch of people on here. Okay. Realtor. Lexi is a realtor. Moved to Florida. Hey Vicky, how are you? All right, Victoria Jen is in the house.
Hey.
Hello, Mamacita. How are you?
How are you? What's going on?
I am so excited for this. You have no idea.
Me too. Me too.
So, we have a few people that have come on, which is good. Let me introduce everyone that is on right now to the gorgeous, phenomenal, and all-around badass who is Victoria Jen. Miss Rodriguez we want to welcome you as an award-winning inclusion and diversity disruptor.
Thank you.
A talent engagement coordinator, a corporate trainer, a top speaker on mindset personality transformation, founder of the Female Collaborative and CEO of VJR Enterprises.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
I think we have covered all of the highlights because I know that your resume is deep. So,
yeah.
So for everyone that doesn't know, Vicky and I know each other from way back in the day. We went to Baruch College together. Yeah. Shout out for Baruch. And I just want to dive right in it. We're going to jump right into it, okay? So tell me, what is the Female Collaborative? Tell everyone on here what the Female Collaborative is.
Yeah. So first of all, shout out to TS Squad.
Yes.
Jess is a member of the Female Collaborative. And the Female Collaborative is a nonprofit organization that focuses on revolutionizing how women work and do business together. So to keep it really simple, we basically put women who have value and resources in the same rooms as other women who have value and resources and curate opportunities for them to collaborate and make magic. And that can be starting a new business. It could be sharing competitor intel, helping each other find a job, or finding a new bestie. But really the main mission behind the organization is to give you guys access, opportunity, and collaborative support to live life on your terms. And we have a membership that is affiliated with the organization, where we host monthly masterclasses, we host exclusive events, we do coaching, we provide deep discounts to events such as our upcoming annual Woman Who Roars Summit. And it's just a really dope community and really proud of it and excited to grow it. So everybody become a member. Link in bio.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So you touched upon something which was going to be my next question. What is the Women Who Roar Summit, and who is a woman who would roar that would be qualified for that summit?
Oh, I love that question. So the Woman Who Roar Summit is our annual, I would say, like pedigree event, almost like our gala, if you think about it that way. And every year we host it. We are embarking on our 4th year, happening this April. It is going down virtually. So literally, regardless of where you are in the world, you can attend. It's going down April 9th through 10th. The waiting list is open right now. So if you guys are interested, you want to hop on that, link in bio for that. And the theme for this year, which I'm super excited about, is the Renaissance, Be Bold, Take Control. And when you think about a Renaissance, you think about, you know, kind of like the rebirth and the reviving. And that is exactly where we are right now, right? We are in a state of rebirth and redesigning who we are and why we are. And that is why we wanted to hone in on that theme. And so the conference is going to be focused on, you know, how do you do that, right? How do you actually, you know, revive yourself after the year that we've been through? What do we need to do? How do we sharpen our skill set? And so we're going to have conversations around that. We're going to have, damn, should I reveal this right now? I don't
know. This could be like a sneak peek.
Should this be like special edition right here? You're getting kind of like the inside scoop. We're going live with registration next week, but if you're on this live, you're going to hear it first. You're going to see the announcements come out. So our 2 keynote speakers, I feel like I need a drum roll. Our 2 keynote speakers are going to be Soledad O'Brien, who is a world-renowned journalist, as well as Sally Krawcheck, who is the first woman on Wall Street to ever be a CEO. She's super, super badass. So those are our 2 keynotes, along with so many other amazing women who are just super, super dope. And I look forward to this event every year because not only does it attract women who roars, but it really empowers women to roar. And like, what does that mean? That really means like having a voice and using that voice to live life on your terms, using that voice to, you know, make change in your communities, using that voice to help other women come up, right? And help women kind of redefine their badassery, right? That is all about being a woman who roars. You don't only roar for yourself, you roar for your family, you roar for your colleagues, you roar for your TFC squad, you roar for your girlfriends, right? And so we just like to give you the tools and resources that you need to do that and roar as loudly as possible.
That's awesome. That's just like, you know what I love about this? I love how you're not only somebody that talks about supporting other people, you actually do support other people. Like, just like Vicky has like a crazy schedule with a million things to do, as we all do. But I reached out to her and I said, hey, would you be a guest? And she's like, yeah, you're on the TFC squad. We support each other. That was it. 1, 2, 3. That was it. And that's it. You know what? You embody what you preach. And a lot of people are great at preaching, but they don't practice it. And that's not you. And that's, I think, what makes you so successful, because you're authentic. Yes. People sense the genuineness. So my next question is, what inspired you to create the Female Collaborative?
So, you know, I was in corporate for about 15 plus years before I decided to become a full-time entrepreneur. Going on 4 years. April will be my 4-year anniversary. And, you know, as I was starting my journey, I was going to all these conferences and it just felt very fake to me and inauthentic, and nobody was really looking out. Like, people were making a lot of promises, and I'm talking about women conferences in particular. Mm-hmm. People were making a lot of promises, but nobody was really coming through. And so I was like, okay, there's a gap here. There's a need here. And, you know, I kept that in the back of my mind. Then, you know, as a new entrepreneur, like, you're hustling. You're trying to figure out like streams of income. You're trying to figure out how you're going to get paid. And so I knew that I could put on an event and get paid, like actually have people come out. So I actually reached out to 3 other women right here on the gram and was like, hey, I like what you do. Let's put together this event and let's make some money real quick, which is how the first annual Woman Who Roar Summit actually happened. And so we put that event on, sold out in 2 months. We had women flying in from around the country. And it was at that point that I knew, like, wow, like we're on to something here. Like, we don't even have a brand and women are like flying out to come and attend this conference. Like, I want to make this official tissue. And it was at that point that I decided to make the Female Collaborative real, right? Because of that event, and also because of my experience of people just not following through and delivering on their promises. And so I wanted to create a hub that you knew that if you're a part of it, or you are part of like this movement of stepping out of each other's way and putting the BS at the door and really like working together to like make shit happen for yourself, I knew that it was a need and it was a gap. And so that's how the Female Collaborative was born.
Awesome. You know what? And again, it like there's like a theme here, right? We're all in different like streams of business. And as much as we're like, yeah, networking, there's networking, and then there's really like holding each other down. And really, when somebody says, hey, hop on a live, follow me, do this, and actually the follow through, because a lot of people give lip service. So I feel like there's almost like a minimum standard of expectation with the TFC squad, that if you're going to say you're going to be somewhere, you're going to show up. You know what I mean? If you're going to support, you're going to support all the way. All right. So what's another one? Oh, this is a good question. I was so excited to ask this one for you.
Okay.
I'm going to read it to you because it's a little long. All right. Okay. So let's dive right into attitude. Okay. Not only with other people, but with oneself. What do you think is the biggest mistake that people make when it comes to attitude personally and in business? And how do you keep a positive attitude in the face of a defeated goal?
Ooh, such a powerful question. I think personally, people suffer from imposter syndrome. And this is personally and professionally, right? And for those who don't know, like, imposter syndrome is basically when you feel like, even though you worked your butt off, like you don't belong in a specific room, or you didn't deserve that job, or you didn't deserve that raise, even though you did everything in your power to like work your butt off to get it, right? You deserve it. But for some reason, you just feel like an imposter, or you are the only woman in the room, or you're the only woman of color in a room. And you just feel like, I don't belong here. Like, this is not my comfort zone. Like, do I really belong to be here? And this is a very real thing. And it actually impacts women and women of color the most. And so I would say both personally and professionally, because we tend to allow imposter syndrome to sometimes take the driver's seat and not really tone it down, it really throws us off and puts us in a place where we feel out of control, where we feel like we can't turn things around to work in our benefit. Somebody said, so much me. Exactly. It's very, very real. And men suffer from this too, but the data shows us that women and women of color suffer the most. And so when it comes to attitude, you know, really making sure that you are self-aware enough to know when imposter syndrome is creeping up on you and what you need to do to kind of mitigate it and eliminate it. Like for me, and imposter syndrome happens to Oprah, it happens to Tony Robbins, it happens to Jennifer Lopez. Like, it happens to, regardless of your success level. In fact, the more successful you become, the more heavy imposter syndrome and prevalent imposter syndrome plays a role in your life. And so you have to figure out, like, what do you need to do when imposter syndrome arises? And some of the exercises that I do is I like look in the mirror and I literally talk to myself and I give a pep talk to myself. Like, I posted it on my feed the other day, literally a morning pep talk that I gave to myself. Because that's my process and that's what I need to do. And so everyone needs to figure out, like, what's their process when they realize that their attitude, their mindset, how they think about themselves is really them kind of like putting them in a black hole instead of imploring them to thrive, right? Which is the objective. And then the latter part of your question was like, what do you do when you feel defeated?
Like, you know what, like, how do you keep a positive attitude, or do you keep a positive attitude when you've set a goal and you didn't see it through? And I don't want to even call it failure, because I feel like failure is just, that's so loaded, you know what I mean? But like, defeated, when you set a goal and it was defeated, you know, how do you keep positive? Do you say, let me embrace my feelings of defeat and then move past it? Like, what do you do when something doesn't pan out the way you want?
Yeah. So first, I just want to encourage folks to like not look at the word failure as a negative thing,
Okay.
because you failing is actually the most positive thing that can happen to you. Why? Because that's how we learn. We learn from when we fail. We learn from when we make mistakes. At least for me, that's how I learn the best. Like reading a book or watching a teacher teach me something, like I'll digest it, but it won't hit home and I won't be able to make it my own or really flourish unless I learn from it myself. Meaning I have to make the mistake, I have to fail in order for me to then come up, right? And do it better, right? And so that's the first thing. I just want to make sure that people don't put a negative connotation around failure. And then once you've like not followed through on a goal for whatever reason, right? A lot of us had goals in 2020 that we didn't meet because of external things, right? Or maybe we stood in our own way, which sometimes we tend to do that, right? Especially when we're under high anxiety, stress, like it gets the best of us. Like you're human first and everything else second, right? And so you have to give yourself grace. But you also have to make sure that you understand that, hey, if I didn't show up completely for this and I knew that I could and I didn't, then that's on you, right? That's on you. So now it's a matter of like, okay, how do
Accountability.
I, right? How do I approach this better next time? Or how do I show up better? Because I know I didn't go hard. I
Yeah.
know I didn't give it my 100%.
Yeah.
I know this is not the best of me. But if you did give your all and you really did go all in and you still didn't achieve it, listen, it's like my girl Aaliyah said, dust yourself off and try again. Like it
Yeah.
literally is that simple. Like people overcomplicate it and they let themselves drown in kind of this you know, a pity party. And I'm a fan that you give yourself 2 to 3 days to cry it out, curse it out, yell, eat your ice cream, whatever it is. And after that is pucker up, baby. We got
Yeah.
to go after it again.
Yeah.
And then you go after it again.
And what didn't I do right the first time?
Right.
What am I taking from it? And how do I go at it a second time to make sure I get a little further? Because it might not be on the second or the third time.
Right.
I know for me, like recently in my business, I had something change, and it was like it was a dependable thing that I had in my business, right? It was just like a process that I had in my business, and it made me become lazy. Like it stopped me from growing, and then I freaked out when the process wasn't there anymore. I'm like, oh my god, this is a part of my business. And then I was like, okay, I had like a solid 48 of freaking out. And then I said to myself, okay, we got to pivot and be the new hot girl on the block, because you can only be good as long as you're being the hot girl on the block.
Right.
You get lazy, some other hot girl's gonna come on the block and like take your bag, right? So you gotta just keep pivoting and be the new hot girl on the block. And you know what? As much as I try like certain things, like, you know, I've been trying to do my vlogs and my stuff and try to make my online presence, which is my resume, look cohesive and look good. You know, like sometimes you're like, ugh, you know, for me, like I'm gonna be honest, 100%, right? Like not like, you know, I'm not super fit. I'm not like, you know, whatever. But like, I'm like, God, I'm just gonna put myself out there. We were on a master class where you were teaching us about branding, and one of the girls was like, listen, like I don't like being on video. And we talked about it, and I'm like, just get on the video. Look, I got like a double chin and a fupa, but like I still don't want to be in my car trying to look cute, because you know what? Whoever's gonna like me is gonna like me regardless, and whoever's not gonna like me, they cannot like me from a distance. Haters even serve a purpose.
Listen, first of all, I want to commend you, because I see you doing your hot girl shit on the gram. I see you on TikTok. Like I see you putting in the work. And like people notice that stuff. So whenever you think nobody's watching, people are watching. And so investing in that and making sure that you are making yourself visible, I think is key and something smart that you did. So kudos to you, because I see you out there. The second thing I want to give you your flowers for is how vulnerable you just were in sharing the reality that many women and men think about, right? I don't want to put myself out there because I don't like the way I look, or are people going to accept me? You know, I gained 20 pounds because of 2020. Like, am I really going to put myself out there? And I want you to know that that's completely normal,
Yeah.
right? Obviously. I think about that stuff like all the freaking time. Your most confident people that you look at, that you aspire to be, or that you gain inspiration from, again, imposter syndrome, they have insecurities. Like, it is a real thing. And the more vulnerable you become with it and just like letting it be real, the better. In fact, Jess, I actually encourage you to talk about this more in like your videos, because it will actually gravitate people to you and want to do business with you and engage with you because they see that authenticity from you. And it's different from everybody else who's super buttoned up, got their makeup to the fucking gods, you know, who are just trying to do too much, right? Yeah. But here you are actually connecting with people on a human level, right? And that will make you stand out. So I encourage you to do that. And I love this topic. We're actually having a panel on this at the Woman Who Wore Summit in April. And it's going to be about like owning your sensuality and body shaming. Because like we do it to ourselves the most, right? And it's really holding us back from living in our greatness and living in our power, because we're too concerned about what everybody else thinks. Or we're kind of like talking down to ourselves because we're not happy. And like, it's at that point where you need to look at yourself and be like, okay, I'm not happy. So what am I going to do to change it? Because literally you have the power within you to do whatever the hell you want. And I know that sounds cliche, but if there's one thing that I've learned on my entrepreneur journey, even when I was in corporate and being able to get jobs that I had no business getting jobs in, because I had no experience or any of that, it is literally like what you put work into will grow. And that's period.
Yeah.
Period.
You know what? You know what? Honestly, I think you know, you again, this is why you are who you are, because I've always kind of felt like, what's the balance between being professional? Because like, honestly, I got no business being splayed out on a Lamborghini and like a onesie with like stilettos on. I don't have any business doing that.
What do you mean? Why not?
But you know what? You know what? Honestly, at the same time, I'm like, why not be like cute on a Honda Civic and just make a mockery of it?
Like, you, first of all, you see my man where the money reside out here on these internet streets, okay? Like, own whatever you have, use those resources at your disposal. And you know, it actually will be funny if you do it with like a car that's not expected, like a Lamborghini. That's
what I said. Like, what if I get like all beat to the gods and then like I'm on like a Honda Civic, like, you know, just like.
Or you can get like a beat up ass car. That would be hilarious. That would go viral.
See, I wanted to do that, and like I've been talking about doing this with my photographer for like
do it and make sure you put your leg up on the bumper. Show that leg. Oh my God! Yes, please do it, please.
Yeah, I'm like, you know, it's so funny because like from a realtor perspective, like no tea, no shade, right? But like sometimes I'm like, you're a rental agent. You beating up them rental market, but like you don't have no Lamborghini. Like, stop it. You're not making Lamborghini money, but you know what? Project it out. Project it out.
There's two things here. There's two things here, right? So there's one about being like just real about the situation and like you owning where you are. Like if you're in a Honda, then own your freaking Honda. That's where you freaking are, right?
Yeah.
Somebody, look, she said I will do hair for the photo shoot. That's how
yes.
So there's something about owning who you are, but I don't want us to forget about the power of marketing. The reason why people are out here on the Lamborghinis, the reason why they are out here shoving that kind of materialism down your throat is because that's what y'all want to see. And that's what puts the sparkle in your eye. And that's what gets you to have interest in somebody and go click their link for you to buy something from them. So, you know, if you could talk all the crap you want about people on their Lamborghini, but think about who you buy. But
you know what? It comes back to what you said, because then I'm bringing my imposter syndrome, insecurity to it. Like, why don't I have any business being splayed out on a Lamborghini? Why? Right. Like, everyone does. Right. But like, that's me bringing my insecurity to it. Like, well, I'm not Ryan Serhant, and I'm not like, you know, $1 million listing, so maybe I shouldn't be. But then at the same time, I'm like, yo, I'm a bad bitch. I'm making money like everyone else.
I've learned that we all need to practice more of. And it's like, if you see yourself as the top realtor in New York, then that's what you have to constantly tell yourself and say publicly over and over again. I'm the top realtor in New York. And if anyone questions you as to why you're the top realtor in New York, you got your resume. You're going to say you do X, Y, Z. You're also the top realtor in New York because you will go on your Honda in your onesie with your fur and be sexy as fuck, and people will come and want to work with you because of that personality feature and realism, right? So we have to own these titles that we aspire to have. We have to live it, and we have to breathe it, and we have to own it, because once it becomes real to us, it's inevitable for it to happen and become real to other people. But we have to first believe it first before anybody else will.
And it's also like trying to push yourself, right? Because it's sometimes I find like you gotta fake it till you make it. Because like if you know, like, so it's like that balance of imposter syndrome versus like I'm gonna fake it till I make it because that's my goal. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so like there's like a duality in trying to figure out that balance. Like I know, like I have like my highest selling listing that I've had in my career. It's $5.5 million. It's in Manhattan. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I know I can do it. But now I feel like, do I need to like prove myself to like other agents? Does their opinion count? They're not paying me, so it doesn't count. And it's like kind of, you have all these different audiences, right? And I think with every business, you have to identify a message that you can build upon to different audiences, because you have your buyer audience, you have your seller audience, you have your peers, you have your management. Like, and how do you build an authentic brand that doesn't alienate one of those audiences?
Well, listen, you can't be for everybody, and you can't speak to everybody, right? You have to figure out like who's your core audience and like why. But I will say this, like, as long as you're doing things tastefully and powerfully, like people again will pay attention and they'll want to know more. I've had so many people like on LinkedIn, which I can be sometimes like, people will be like, oh wow, I cannot believe she's like putting this on LinkedIn. And I'm just like, it got your attention, right? You in my DM asking what I do, how I do it, how can we work together, right? And so you just have to think about like, this is your life. Like, this is your life. You have to decide how you want to make money, how you want to show up in the world, and how you are going to make a lane for yourself, right? Because that's how you separate yourself. You can't do what everybody else is doing, because you're just going to blend in with everybody else. I'm a firm believer of standing out. And this is why the TFC squad is so important. This is why it's so important for you to have community, because when you start feeling like, oh, I care about what other people think, or, you know, like, oh, imposter syndrome, or like, how do I do this? How do I do that? That's when you lean in on your community and you're like, yo, this is what I'm feeling today. Like, somebody give me a pep talk, or you just need a place to vent. Like, you need your spaces that you can show up as your true unedited self, not be judged, but be respected, right? Because there's an intellect there, right? There's a success level there, right? There's value there. But it's just so draining to always have to have a mask on and not be able to just show up as you. Like, it literally zaps you of your energy. And so many women do this. So many people of color do this. And you spend so much time trying to be somebody that you're not, or worrying about what somebody else thinks, that you take away from just re-energizing your battery so you can just show up that much better, right?
And be the most you version of you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for that. That was just like, oh, so many V gems in that bad boy right there. All right. So let me ask you one more question. As far as like business goes, what do you think is the most underutilized tool, app, social strategy within the business? What do you think business needs to, what is the most important thing business can do to maintain relevancy and to create the best, strongest environment they can? It's a heavy question. It's a double ender. So let's do
that question in like a different way, because I feel like that's super broad.
All right. So what do you, how does business create the best environment within the confines of the business? What do you think is the most underutilized thing that businesses are not doing enough of to create harmony in the business workplace?
Investing in their teams. They're not investing in their teams enough. They, you know, they're doing the bare minimum and expecting people to like do the most or be the most productive or come in with a positive attitude. You know, the work that I do in VJR Enterprises, you know, my consultancy is I actually work with companies to build powerful and productive teams and cultures, because your human capital is your number one asset. Like if who you have working for you is not showing up in the market 1000%, that's going to immediately impact your bottom line. But so many business owners, leaders, executives, like it doesn't matter, corporate, small business, you know, they forget how important their people are, and they focus more on selling a product instead of investing in their team that will be able to sell that product better than them, right? And triple fold, and will go all out for you because you made an investment in them, and they forget how important that is. And so I feel like at a lot of organizations, the most underutilized asset that they have is their human capital.
Okay. What about technology? What is the most underutilized thing? And I think I can guess what you're going to say, but what are businesses not doing enough of?
They're not putting systems in place. They're trying to do things the old way instead of figuring out, you know, how can I put a system behind every single thing? Like that's something that we're doing now with the Female Collaborative, and like building out, like, how can we systemize this? Like, how can we put a system? How can we automate this? How can we make this a seamless experience, a seamless process? I think organizations like are too stuck in the old way of doing things, and they don't utilize enough technology. They don't invest in more programming that can make, you know, their client experience better, their employee experience better, which I think is super important. They need to put processes and systems around everything. And I would say that every business, regardless what you do, where you're located, industry, what you sell, you need to be on social media. Yeah. E-commerce is the way of the future, and you need to be on social
media. And the way of the now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, we are approaching our 30-minute mark.
Okay.
Vicky, thank you so much. If you have, let me ask you, I'm going to give you an opportunity to give me, like, do you have any real estate related things? Like, because I feel like there's always that one question that everyone wants to know, and like they feel like they get the salesman answer. But I felt like, you know, as like the end all to all of our Jess the Chats over the next few weeks, anything you want to ask, anything, you'll get the truth, and whether it's a taboo question or not.
Yeah. So I want to know, you know, if someone has never done the real estate thing, you know, whether residential or commercial, like where do they start? What is your, like, what are the first 3 things you think they should do?
Okay, first things first, you need to get into a school because getting a real estate license is a 2-stepper. You need to take the classes by the school, and you need to also take your state test. Now, every state has different rules on that. So obviously check your DOS for your state, your Department of State information for realtors.
Hold on, Jess, not if you want to be like a realtor. I'm talking about like if you're an investor, like if you want to start, like what are the first 3 things you should do?
Okay, first of all, you have to make sure that your credit is, you've got your credit in a good position, because the number 1 rule in investing is to leverage the bank, right? You don't want to you don't ever want to put all your eggs in one basket, because if the investment ends up tanking or there's an extenuating circumstance, you want to be able to pull out and protect your money. So you want to be able to over leverage the bank. That's key, and most important thing that you could do is make sure that your credit and your income and everything is squared away, and you want to find out about what kind of mortgages they are offering for investors. A lot of times, if you already own a home, they're going to say that the minimum down payment that they're going to expect from you on the investment property is going to be 20 or 25%. So you need to know that going in. It's not just like, hey, I want to invest in real estate. A lot of people watch, you know, all these shows, and they're like, oh, it's like you catch butterflies for a living and you have a $1 million budget. Like, that's not real life. You don't look at 3 properties. So if you're an investor, the first step, or if you want to get into investing, is you want to make sure that you have your mortgage situation settled. You know what kind of down payment you're going to need. And that way, if you can acquire that mortgage, you're going to know what budget you have. So know your budget by getting pre-approved and understanding the offers for mortgages for investors. That's number one. Number two, you have to ask yourself, how much money are you willing to lock into a property for at least a year, right? Because investment is not a quick flip. Like people think quick, oh, it's 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna dump $5,000 in and get a 25,000 return. If that was the case, everyone would be doing it. So what you have to say is, how much money can I personally comfortably lock into an investment property and not see it for a year? Can I not see that money, or is it going to put you in a tight position financially on your monthly bills? So how much money are you willing to part with for a year? And then third, you have to say, if I'm budgeting a $35,000 renovation on a house, I buy it at an auction, I know it's empty, I'm going to budget a $35,000 renovation. You have to also budget an extra 25%, because there's variables that are going on in that house that you may not know of. Interior condition, pipes could be out of date, electric could be not to code. So you could look at something from the exterior, because when you buy property at auction, 9 times out of 10, you're not allowed inside. You're buying it sight unseen. So you could buy that, not know what the interior looks like, and you have to say to yourself, if I'm gonna renovate, lock up my money for a month and give myself a 25% budget, additional budget for renovations. Like let's say there's an issue that's structural that you might not have foreseen. If I buy something for 100, I renovate for 35, I'm going to keep an extra 25% just in case my budget goes up to renovation costs of 50. Now I'm in at 150. How much money am I going to get on the flip? Right? So if I fix it, am I selling it for 175? If I am, I'm not buying that property. That's too tight a margin, because after I pay my closing costs and my attorney fees and my bank, I'm gonna walk away with a couple $1,000s. So you have to say to yourself, what are my margins? How do I plug my numbers in and make it make sense? I like to say to myself, the way I invest, if I see that I'm able to make at least $50,000 on the investment, I know that I have enough profit margin built in that in case things take longer, or there's an unforeseen issue that I don't know about, or like the buyer that buys the house can't pull the trigger and then backs out, I got to resell the house. At least I know I'm going from a profit margin of maybe like 50,000 to 40,000. I'm locking up my money for a year and a half. I'm doing all this other work. That makes sense to me. But if the margins are too tight, with the market going up and down, fluctuating, you have to make sure you have a good enough range of profit. And those are your 3 things. So get your money right, get pre-approved, figure out how much money you can not touch for at least a year and a half. And then also make sure that the property you're finding has enough profit margin and enough wiggle room to actually make money. Because it's not what you sell it for versus what you bought it for. It's also what you sell it for, what you invested in it, how much you spent to advertise, when you paid the realtor, when you paid the title company. So there's a lot of different fees that are associated. And you have to remember, you're paying closing costs twice, on the purchase and on the sale. So you've really got to get a flow chart and kind of figure out, okay, I'm going to spend $10,000 when I buy it the first time. So I bought it for 100. I spent $10,000 on closing costs. Now I'm at 110. I spent $35 to renovate it. Now I'm at 145. I left an additional $20,000 for unforeseen issues. So now I'm at 165. Now what am I selling it for? You know what I mean? So like, I think a lot of times people just look at the 2 numbers. I bought it for 100. I sold it for 200, and they don't realize you only made $15,000 after a year. And then on that profit, you got to pay taxes. So, it's got to make sense. So that's the biggest thing. I think that everyone has the idea of being an investor. And what I would suggest for people that really want to do it is find a builder, find realtors that are investing, and create a real estate investment group. I'll put in $30,000. They're putting in $30,000. They're putting in $30,000. It's a good way to learn through others.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
I like that idea. This was dope. This is why we're going to have you do a masterclass for the TFC.
It'll be a lot more organized,
the
I
TFC
promise.
squad, because this is like super, super gems. I love
Yeah.
this so much. I'm so happy I asked that question. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to plug? You want to just give us all the information for the Women Who War Summit again, and then where people can reach out to you if they want to join the TFC squad?
Yeah, definitely. So if you want to become a member of the Female Collaborative and join the TFC squad, you can go to the link in my bio. You have to apply to become a member. So there's like a 2-minute application that you have to submit before you're able to become a member. And there's 2 tiers. You can join at the monthly level or at the yearly level. So we just introduced that model. So now you guys can pay monthly, or you can pay for the year up front and save like 20%. I think that's what it is. Also, to join the waiting list for the Women Who Roar Summit, which is going down in April, which you want to be at, is also, the link is in my bio for that. So get on the waiting list. We sell out every year. And trust and believe you want to be there.
Yes.
We're putting a lot of time and effort into this event, and I'm so excited for it. Yeah, and just shout out to everybody in here. I look forward to, having you join the community and growing with each of you. And Jess, congrats on this series and for having me be a guest. And yeah, I had a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vicki. It was great. Make sure you join the TFC squad. Even if you're not a girl and you're not a lady, you could be a gentleman and you can join as well. You can just support and get information. There's a lot of tidbits of information. Follow them on Instagram. Follow them on YouTube. Hit up Victoria Jen Rodriguez on LinkedIn and Facebook. And thank you so much for joining.
All right, Mama. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everyone.